everyone, and welcome to Noonchi, where I do a deep dive into some of your favorite K-dramas from a mental health perspective. I'm Jeannie Chang, your Noonchi Nuna. Y'all, I have to talk about StartUp, the finale. Gosh, how do I start? I'll do the best I can to break it down, what it means for us emotionally. And you know what? This is going to be my therapy because let me tell you, it is not the ending that I had hoped to see. Spoiler alert galore for what I'm going to talk about. And I'm okay with it because I really want to break this finale down. Episode 16, just leading up to it and what's been going on. I am Team Hanji-pyong. Who are the Team Hanji-pyong folks out there? Yeah, you, yeah. Let me tell you something. He started off the drama, okay? I believe he was the first person we were introduced to, and the story that unfolded in episode 1 was mainly centered on him, and obviously Tae-mi and the grandmother. But gripped you, right? Hooked you from the get-go. And I knew, like y'all did, who the male lead was technically supposed to be, but I was gonna say kudos to the actor, Kim Sun-ho. I wanna totally bring him out here. Love affects your brain chemistry, y'all, okay? I'm not going to claim to be this hormone expert, but the field of psychotherapy, which is my field, originally emerged from the field of neurology, if you didn't know. Neurology, the study of the brain. Incidentally, I have to say, my father, first generation Korean American, is a neurologist, retired neurologist. So the study of the brain, or anything related to the brain, I believe it's in my DNA. That's why I'm fascinated with it. And the field of psychotherapy, again, originally emerged from the field of neurology. So I'm fascinated with the effects of K-dramas on our brains. Yes, our brains are being affected. Let's break it down. This all relates, just bear with me. When we're watching K-dramas, don't you get addicted? Aren't you like sitting there going, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? They do a good job of hooking you in at the very end of the episode, and then you're like, you see this scene where they just stare at each other, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's the next thing? So I tend to, yes, just like you, go on to the next episode. If I'm really tired and sleep deprived because it's wee hours of the morning, then I'll just watch like the first 5-10 minutes of the next episode just so I know what happens, because I can't go to bed. Love and mental health. That is why we're very much affected by these K-dramas. Think about it. There's always a love story in there. I can't recall when there's not really some sort of love story. Love triangle, something to do with platonic love, romantic love, passion love, compassion love. All love encompasses the K-drama story. StartUp had us at hello with Hanji-pyong. Now, if you're a Namdo-san fan, that's fine. Well, that's fine. We can talk about that later. Offline, maybe? No. But Hanji-pyong, he had me at hello.
You had me at hello.
And I loved the heartbreaking, heartwarming story, seeing his relationship with Halmoni, right? And even him having actually seen Halmoni as a child. I think she was 13 at the time. So you see that backstory. So you get invested right away. There's attraction there. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Why we get invested from the get-go, love and mental health. Love is a direct correlation to your mental health. Think about it. In your loving relationships, they boost you up, right? People that you love, being surrounded by people that you love can help diminish the symptoms of depression and anxiety, especially as I'm sharing this with you in a pandemic. Very important, right? To invest in your loved ones. But now we're talking about vicariously living through StartUp and why we got so invested. I'm going to share from the viewpoint of being Team Hanji-pyong why it was so important that we were devastated by the finale. Where, spoiler alert, yes, spoiling all galore, because I'm going to be really breaking this down. So yes, this will spoil the ending, that he ends up alone. He ends up without the girl. And in some sense, heartbroken, right? And it's gripping us. Let me explain why. Love changes your brain chemistry. Love affects your brain chemistry temporarily. It changes it temporarily until it goes back to normal. But attraction, when you're physically, emotionally attracted to someone, which by the way happens when we're watching K-dramas because we're instantly attracted to the male lead, the female lead, the gorgeousness that we see, the characters, right? That's what's happening, okay. The brain chemical dopamine is released. Your serotonin levels increase, and then oxytocin is produced. So let's break down these happy hormones, shall we? There are 4. Endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. This is all affecting your brain chemistry as you're watching K-dramas. That's why they're addicting. By the way, dopamine, because it's being released as you're watching that attraction on the screen, getting hooked in, falling in love with the characters. Yeah, dopamine is also the same brain chemical that perpetuates addiction, by the way, substance use, gambling on a more serious note. But that's what's happening as we get hooked into these K-dramas. We're being attracted to the characters, falling in love with them, right? Living vicariously. Again, there's a fine line between reality and vicariously living, watching a TV show, but that's why it's entertaining. So dopamine being released, y'all. Okay, so then let's talk about oxytocin being produced. Oxytocin is known as the cuddle hormone, the bonding hormone, the connecting hormone, the love hormone that basically released between couples. But you know what? You could be cuddling with your dog and oxytocin's released. I talk about oxytocin a lot as a family therapist because I see it in conversations, those interactions with people. That's why I love studying systems, family systems, community systems, work systems. You can produce that oxytocin talking to someone and connecting with them. That's why it feels good, very important. So we're connecting even to the characters on K-dramas, right? And that's why they're super fun and entertaining to watch. And that's why we get hooked. So that's the oxytocin, the love, the cuddle hormone, right? That's being produced. Serotonin. Serotonin, by the way, affects your whole body. It's responsible for your well-being. It also affects your sleep, eating, and digestion. And, your serotonin levels are increasing, right? As we're watching this attraction. As I said, love, what happens when you're attracted to somebody, dopamine release, serotonin levels increase, oxytocin produce. That feels good. So you feel good overall. You're like, oh my gosh, this positive emotion. And that's what we experience, I would say, through like the first half of StartUp, getting very invested in Han Ji-pyong. A little bit of letdown there. Little disclaimer here. As a clinician, as a licensed therapist, I like to be the non-anxious presence in the therapy room with my clients, my patients. As I speak, that is my job, to be the non-anxious presence. But here, I'm also normal. So I got pretty invested in this K-drama, which I did not want to watch until it was all aired and done. But then I got hooked, talking to clients that were like, you got to watch this. And I'm like, okay. By the way, your gut is your second brain. And that is why I studied, going down the rabbit hole here, to get certified in integrative medicine, certified mental health integrative medicine provider, because I wanted to study nutrition and its effects on mental health. So your gut is your second brain. Serotonin, 95% of it is produced in your gut. I know we think of it up here. No, here. All of this is affecting us, which is why I'm hearing from lots of folks who are Team Han Ji-pyong, devastated, heartbroken, traumatized. I've heard that. Angry, frustrated, sad, heartbroken. Did I already say that? No one's really happy, y'all, because they wanted to see him happy because we relate. We relate to that. So, and then, by the way, endorphins released when you're exercising. That's also related to our well-being. You get a sense of peace and calm and ease and a soothingness when endorphins are released. Those are the happy hormones. I believe those are all that we're experiencing as we're watching K-dramas. That's why we're so invested in it. Our brains are being worked here. Now, the ending, I think it's understandable, I'm going to say this as a licensed clinician, to be affecting people because it also affected me. I also got invested in these relationships. I'm also grieving. Talking about grief, there are stages to grief, right? So it's okay to be experiencing sadness, depression, anger, bargaining, the bargaining of like, oh my gosh, maybe this alternate ending could have happened. Maybe the writer meant for this to happen, but then she had to do this, that kind of thing. Then there's denial. There's also shock. Really? Is that how it ended? I mean, I experienced all of them. I'm not at acceptance yet, which is technically the end as you've kind of resolved that grief. But again, it's fluid. Grief is not a linear process. It's a circular process. So I hope to be at the acceptance stage, but breaking down the finale, that heartbreaking scene, you know what I'm talking about. Spoiler alert with Harmony. Let's just take a listen to what I think is one of the most poignant scenes in the entire drama. And I believe Namdo-san fans would agree. Okay, this is my favorite scene. It's heartbreaking, but I really want to break the scene down for you guys. Okay, so let's take a listen with me. I might cry. I don't have any tissues. Darn it. But let's listen. The grandmother comes to Han Ji-pyong's house. She misses him. That happy scene of all of them at her store, she realizes he's missing, and perhaps she's feeling that he's lonely. That's the key word here, lonely. Okay, so let's take a listen to the scene. Oh.
귓구멍에 막히고 눈이 비어서 별소리 별짓 다 해도 돼. 울어도 되고
Come whenever. Talk about whatever.
왜 그러냐고는 내가 안 물어볼게.
I won't ask why you're coming over. I just want
그러니까
to
자주 와.
come often. Come often.
혼자 있어 버릇하면 못 써. 더는 외로워지지 말아라 지평은. 응? 괜찮아.
Okay, I had to stop because the music doesn't help, right? Just some of the most important words Halmuri would have said in that entire drama to Han Ji-pyong at a very, I want to say, sad point in his life, right? Just at that time, pretending to be strong as his character is. And when she says, you come over anytime, don't you want someone to say to you, hey, come over to shoot the breeze, whatever you want to talk about, stupid stuff, fun stuff, deep stuff, whatever, I'm here to listen, I don't care. How welcoming is that? That is so important to hear as support, right? To be validated, but just someone there for you, your loved ones, right? Invest in that, folks. It's so good for your mental health. Then she says to Han Ji-pyong, don't get used to being alone so often. Don't become lonelier. Oh my gosh, I'm holding back some emotion, especially in a time of now, in a historic pandemic. We have to work hard at our relationships. Just really sit with those people around you. We can get easily, and the reason why I'm getting emotional, because it's very easy for me to be busy, helping clients and sometimes not seeing what's right in front of me. The context of relationships is critical to your mental health. There is a very famous study, the Harvard Happiness Study, one of the longest running studies on happiness, also known as the Grand Study. And they track Harvard participants or Harvard attendees. Back then, all male. It started in 1938. JFK, John F. Kennedy, was one of the original participants. There are about a handful left in their 90s, and they track these participants over 80 plus years to ask the question of what is the key to happiness? What is the key to happiness? What do you believe that they have found out? According to research, the key to happiness, the secret to happiness, is your loving relationships, the quality of your community, your relationships. So love, everything tying back to why we're so affected by StartUp and the finale, why we're affected in general by K-dramas, but particularly the ending for Han Ji-pyong not getting the girl. And I don't think it's so much the girl, we just wanted him to find love, to be in that relationship. That's what we identified with. Clearly, he's rich. Clearly, he has everything he needs professionally. He's good at what he does. He's smart. That's also attractive. But we really wanted him to have that loving relationship. That is why, based on this Harvard happiness study, that is the key to happiness. Okay? They did everything. By the way, to discover this, they did qualitative interviews, quantitative research, looked at the study of your brains and found healthier brains of those that were happy and invested in content in their relationships, whatever those relationships will be. Spousal relationship, parent relationship, sibling, community, extended family, neighbor, work. They're talking about the quality. Find quality relationships. To have quality relationships might mean weeding out the toxic ones, and that's very important for your mental health. And you know those people that may be texting on you that are not healthy. We're talking about healthy relationships, but finding time to invest in that. So when the grandmother, Halmuri, says to Han Ji-pyong, don't get any lonelier, don't be any lonelier, don't get used to being alone, that's what she's touching on. And that's why he breaks down, because that's what's happening. That is such an emotional moment. That's what's happening to us. why we like watching these K-dramas and being connected with people. Everything relates to relationships. That's why I am a family therapist. I look at people in relationship to relationships, right? Family, your family system, your school system, your neighbor system, your work system, that all relates. Never had anybody come into my office and say, hey, I'm so happy in my relationships, that's why I'm here. No, everything affects with the relationship. That is why, folks, I'm validating for those of you who are grieving the finale and Han Ji Pyong being left without the girl or being alone, though it shows that he's happy. But you know what? I'm telling you now, that's not satisfying enough for some of us. Why? Because we want that loving relationship for him. Going back to the results of the Harvard Happiness Study, I'm going to quote the director of the study. He said in a TED Talk, very powerful. Loneliness kills. It is as powerful as smoking or alcoholism. Yes, folks. And that is why when she says that to him, Han Ji Pyong breaks down, and that is why we also felt it. Especially in a historic pandemic, don't underestimate the power of virtual connection, because that's what we have. That's what's safe right now. That's what's promoted to be good. Please do so. If you're feeling lonely, you can do something about it. You look for those relationships. If you don't have them around you, then you can find them. That could be one of your goals. I know it sounds so awkward to say, one of my life goals is to find a partner. No, say that. That's what we need in life, right? Money. We are happy for Han Ji Pyong having all this money and stuff. No, but we're still not buying it. We still want him to have love. And let me talk about the fact that we also justifying Kim Sun-ho, the actor, has gotten really famous from this role. It catapulted his career, so we're happy about that. That's another example. We are finding solace in the fact that this actor got what he deserved outside of StartUp. So that's my analysis there. A deep dive into StartUp's finale as best as I could. Wow, got a little emotional there. Hopefully I didn't mess up my makeup. But I just hope that you can understand why I'm asking you, finding those relationships, investing in love. Remember, releasing the dopamine. Yes, it's the addiction hormone too, but important to understand for love. Changing your brain chemistry, increasing your serotonin levels. Very important in prevention of depression and anxiety. And then producing oxytocin. Producing oxytocin, the cuddle, the connecting, the bonding hormone that we need.